Alright, hello and welcome. This is Aaron with Steel Picking, and I'm excited to bring a new concept to you, or a new idea that my son and I were talking about doing, in that we're going to feature a picker of the month. In other words, we're going to take a well-known artist and then maybe give you some insight on the way they think and approach the steel, or maybe just some stories that I've run across with that individual, and give you maybe some ideas also on how they approach their tuning, their amps, just whatever I can kind of find out about them that might help you along your journey as a player. And there's no better place to start, or no artist that's more well known, in my opinion, than Buddy Emmons. So the first one we're going to do for this month will be to cover Buddy Emmons, some of his styles, stylistic approaches, maybe some of the effects that he uses, and just to talk about even amp settings and things like that. Has had a great career, probably influenced anybody that you can think of now as a player in some way or other has been affected by Buddy Emmons' approach to the guitar. Also, he's just very innovative on the tunings, on the E9 and the C6. Responsible for some of the pedals, even some of the strings, the chromatic strings, and then on the C6 tuning, even coming in with some of the pedals, and also with him adding that D on top, which actually made it like a C9 tuning. I've looked in some articles about him, and I was going to talk to you about maybe like some of the effects that he used. He was very innovative, ahead of his time, and what his thoughts were is that you're not necessarily masking the sound of your guitar, but you're actually enhancing it, and actually said that some of the sessions that he was able to get was due to, they knew that he was like on the cutting edge of the new effects or something different with a steel that they haven't heard before. Now he used like MXR was one of the brands that he used. He had a phaser, a fuzz, an envelope filter, analog delay, had a Furman EQ, electroharmonics, flanger, and he was also well known for using PV amps. And I looked at one of the, there's lots of articles about him. If you're using a PV, some of the settings that he used were that he set his presence at 7, treble at 7 or 8, the mid at 4, the shift and the bass he set at 10. So if you have a PV amp, you might try that out. Something else I want to talk to you about too is, if you watch him on YouTube videos, study his bar hand. Watch the tremola that he had. He had such a great technique there too. So that's something else that I do. You're not going to be a Buddy Emmons. I'm not going to be a Buddy Emmons, because it's just that's the way it is, and the approach on a steel is so unique to each player. You get down to technique, prowess, a guy that's just got phenomenal natural ability, and you get down to a point too where a person has just spent years and years and years of sacrificing to be the best at what he does. And that's the way Buddy Emmons was. His career spanned from the early 50s to well into the 2000s, 2008 or 9, I think, is some of the last things he did. So you can, like I said, check out any of his YouTube videos to kind of watch what he was doing, watch his hands. Another thing too that we see, that I was looking at the E9 competence for him. He kept pretty much the same tuning there, same pedals. One of the ones that is a little bit different in that he lowered his 6th string from a G sharp to an F sharp. So if you're looking for a pull maybe to try on your guitar, that might be a good one to add to your existing guitar. So again, in reading his articles too, he was asked whether he studied other players, other steel players, and his response to that was that if he did listen to them, it was maybe to expand on their ideas or their licks. In other words, he was always, to me, now this is just my personal opinion, you always knew him when you heard him on the records, or you could be like at the convention and be outside the hall and you know, at St. Louis, and you'd hear 1 or 2 notes, or you'd hear him in the practice room warming up for the show. You knew it was Buddy Emmons. So that respect, you learn from players, and that's what we're going to do also. I'm going to show you several of his licks, or several of the licks in his style on the E9 and C6. And my hope is that you expand on this. So we're not trying to be, you know, like a little army of Buddy Emmons going around, because it's not going to happen. But what we can do is learn from these great players and then incorporate those licks into our own stylistic venues or our own personal preferences. So again, this is just to kind of give us an introduction into the great players, and we'll kind of see how the response is on this. If you like it, then we'll pursue it with other players. But I just, like I said, I can't think of any better place to start than with Buddy Emmons and his career, and the way he's influenced just about any player that you can think of nowadays. So as a young up-and-coming steel player, I got to go to the St. Louis several years. Had a chance to see Buddy Emmons there, and all, you know, a lot of my heroes, Jimmy Day, and I hate to start naming names because I want to miss some of them, you know, like Doug Jernigan and those guys, and Lloyd Green, Hal Ruggs. You know, it was just amazing, and I was just awe-inspired. And you know, at first you just want to come home and take an axe to your guitar, but then you get over that and you start woodshedding and try to learn. But anyhow, the only time I got to meet him, I was probably 13, 14 years old, and was in the lobby. Him and Jimmy Day were standing there talking, and I was with my dad, and I just bought a Emmons cap. So the story and the way it happened was that, you know, my dad said go over there and talk to him and get their autographs. So very nice, very cordial. Him and Jimmy Day were both just really nice guys, and you know, like I said, I'm sure just a little young guy coming up, a little young kid coming up to them, but they took the time, signed my cap, and just interacted with me some, and that was just a big thrill for me. So if you have any stories like that, or if y'all had a chance to meet him or something, then share those with us here on our channel, and we'd appreciate hearing them and just maybe sharing some good memories. But anyhow, I thought that was a really nice thing. I got to meet him and talk to him a little bit. Seemed like a great guy, and his guitar obviously did a lot of talking for him. He was just one of the greatest that has ever been. So thought you might enjoy that one. Alright, as always, we just appreciate you tuning into our videos, and hope you're enjoying this series on Buddy Emmons, and continue to check back with us throughout this month as we keep posting videos, and as I think of new licks or new songs that I would try to really showcase his style for you. He's one of the players, like I said, that have a few really classic, like Nightlife and Way to Survive, songs like that that you are just signature songs and licks that as soon as you hear those songs or that style, you think of Buddy Emmons. So again, I hope this has helped you. And like I said, just take these ideas and then work on them, incorporate your own tastes and your own styles into them. That way you can create your own ideas and your own licks, and hopefully have fun playing the steel guitar, because that's what it's all about, and that's what I'm trying to promote here. So again, my son and I thank you for checking out our videos, and if you like it, just hit the like, give me some comments and feedback, and just keep picking.